What is up? This is Julian, aka Delaluz, and today we're going to talk about the idea of technical problems. As always, I'm inviting you to work on your creative projects as you listen, start something new, work on something you already have. It's going to help you make more sense of what I talk about. And if you can't listen and work at the same time, please at least start working on something after you listen to this. You'll thank me and yourself. So, the idea of technical problems is something that I picked up from the Taubman approach, which is an approach to playing the piano, which is very emphasized on integrated movement. It gets very technical from here. But one thing that they kind of emphasize is that if you have trouble playing a certain passage, it's not that you're not talented enough, not fast enough, not skilled enough, or whatever you want to call it. It's that you have a technical issue at that point. For example, as some of you may know, the piano has white and black keys, and the white keys are kind of more in front and the black keys go further inside of the keyboard. And there's a problem that can happen when your hand is in the wrong position. I hope this is not getting too technical, but basically you can move your hand really far into the piano, or you can kind of have it a bit further back. And if you have it further out, all the keys your fingers can reach are the white keys. And when you reach your hand into the keyboard, you suddenly start reaching the black keys. Now, if you play a passage and you're jumping from the black keys to the white keys, but you're always kind of clipping some black key because you're moving very fast and you just can't explain it to yourself. Why am I always playing the wrong key over here? Why can't I just play the right keys? And you might get into some kind of self-talk, of self-deprecation, of doubt, of thinking, oh, well, I guess I'm just not good enough. When in reality, the only thing you have to do is move your hand further out of the piano. The problem, the technical problem in this case is you're playing the black keys and then you're jumping into the white keys, but you're not moving your hand out of the black key area. Don't worry if you don't really get what I'm trying to say. The point I'm trying to illustrate is that my failure in this case, because this is something that happened to me, my failure is not because I was lacking skill or lacking proficiency. I was just approaching the task in the wrong way. Once I really slowed down and I looked at where my hands were moving, what was going wrong, and applying the knowledge I learned from the Taubman approach, I was able to move my hand in a different way, and suddenly I could play the passage without problem. This is unfortunately something that happens to us everywhere when we are approaching any creative endeavor, really. We will encounter roadblocks. We will encounter things that don't work. That's just part of the process. But usually we have a couple of ways to dealing with that. First is what I've already mentioned. We start beating ourselves up. We're like, oh, I'm not talented enough. I'm not creative enough. I'm not smart, skilled, something enough. And I simply cannot do it. This is something I cannot do. And we give up. That's one of the things we usually deal with that. The other way we deal with it, which is pretty much just as ineffective, but at least not as depressed as the first way of doing it, is we try to fix it by just doing it a lot. We do it a lot. Let's say I like writing screenplays, and my screenplays kind of suck. Like, I don't really know why they're not working, but I feel like, oh, if I just write more and more and more and more screenplays, at some point something good gonna show up, right? And the trouble with that is sometimes that actually happens. Sometimes we get lucky and we figure out something, or we don't figure out, we just do something that works, but we haven't really had any learning. And the next time we do it, we might repeat the mistake. I talked about this in one of my recent videos on progress and on identifying good ideas, where I talked about slowing down and actually identifying the issues that are keeping us from progressing. Now look, if you use the second method I just talked about, and you just work on a lot of stuff and you write and create a lot of stuff, you're probably gonna have some kind of learning effect after a while. But that's really, really inefficient, and a lot of people just don't have that oomph and that fighting spirit and maybe the patience, the tolerance for frustration to do something like that. And in any case, either if you get really depressed or if you try to fix it by doing a lot, there is a third way, and a much more effective and enjoyable way, in my opinion. And that way is a synthesis of slowing down, bringing awareness, and analyzing and learning. So let's go back to the example of writing a screenplay. You are writing 10 screenplays a day for short films, and all of them suck. Let's say all of them suck. Instead of just going and writing more and more and more, you actually sit down and you actually look at your work and you ask yourself, why is this not working? Why does it work for other people and why does it not work for me? So you try to gather the information, you try to create awareness around this problem you have. And then once you create the awareness, once you know what's going on, you can develop different strategies of dealing with that issue, and then try out the different strategies and see how the result changes. This is a much faster way of working and learning, and once you kind of get into the groove of that, you will stop trying to figure out problems by brute forcing it, and you more and more are gonna go into kind of a slow way of doing things. You're going into a analytical way of looking at things, and you will have a continual process of reflecting, strategizing, implementing new ideas, reflecting, strategizing, and so on. A word of warning. This takes some discipline. It's much easier to give up, and it's also kind of easier to just go ahead and make the same mistake again and again and again. It might be frustrating, but it's what we know. Really slowing down and looking at what are the issues preventing me from getting better and achieving the result that I want takes patience. It takes a certain level of maturity. It takes a long breath. So Don't get frustrated with yourself if you're not able to bring that into your process right away. But if you're taking anything from this video, try to remember that the issues and the problems you have or that you might have with your creative expression are not personal failings, they are technical problems. They're technical problems to be solved. There is a technique for everything. No matter if you're a songwriter, if you're a painter, if you're an animator, there's a technique that you can use to work through your problems. And it's not a failing to not know a technique once you get to the edge of your knowledge. That's just how the learning process works. You know a bunch of stuff, then you want to do more than that, and then you encounter something that's new to you, a new challenge. And any difficulty with that is not a lack of skill or a lack of intelligence, but just a lack of knowledge of how to progress through this technical issue. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Leave me a comment, leave me a like. It helps the channel, and I will hope to catch you in the next one. See ya.